Hi, my wonderful crochet friends. My name is Ashley, and today's tutorial I will be teaching you how to make your very own pom-pom ball or snowball. I like to call them little snowballs. So these are pom-poms, and they're both homemade, handmade. And so what we will need to make our own is we will need first either a ruler or a measuring tape. We will also need some kind of stuffing because these pom-poms here, this fabric, we will cinch closed, but we will need to stuff it. So we will need a little fiber fill stuffing, or you could use old scraps of yarn. That works well too. So just some kind of stuffing. And of course, we will need our scissors. We will need to cut the faux fur fabric. And also, very especially, I have tried to make these with regular yarn needles, and this blunt tip will not go through that fabric. So these do not work. What you have to get is you have to get something like this. So this is called doll needles. It says that it's made to use with yarn or heavy thread. And the eye of it's kind of small, but I'll show you a trick. But the reason why we need these is because of the tip. So the tip here is quite sharp, just like a sewing needle. So you definitely need something like this. Now, I picked up this brand from Walmart for I think a little over $2 maybe, and you get looks like four, or no, you get five. You get 5 different sizes. It's pretty neat, and this definitely works. And so for the trick, I folded this wire here. This is just some cheap Dollar Tree wire. So I just cut about that much. I folded it in half. I twisted it together. And what we will do is we will insert our thread through here. And we will thread our yarn needle. Just like that. Very cool. So we'll definitely need that for this. And also, some people like to use buttons to attach and detach their pom-poms. You can use snap buttons. I've used that before. That's really handy. That way you can just snap it right off and wash the actual beanie. But just in case, I have a button. Some people like to use buttons. Also, if you do not have a button, beads. Beads work great too, and I will show you. You can use a big bead, you can use a little bead, but beads work good too. So if you don't have a snap button, you know what I'm talking about. They're metal, and you sew them on, and there's 2 pieces, they snap together. So if you don't have that, if you have a button or beads, I will show you. Beads work great. So we'll have those. And you will need your faux fur. Now this faux fur I picked up at Hobby Lobby. And faux fur can be a little pricey, but guess what? So this faux fur, this is half a yard. Like, this is a ton. Like, look at this. I had no idea. I was gonna buy a yard. It's first time ever buying and making my own homemade beanies. So when I went there, I had in mind I'm going to buy a yard. But then I was like, whoa, this stuff is expensive. And then, oh my gosh, I didn't even need half a yard. Like, look at this. This is a ton. Like, I can make 50 beanies. I said beanies. Snowballs. I can make 50 of these. Like, isn't that crazy? So, you do not need much. So, this one here, and this is the adult 6-inch uh, um, pom pom snowball. So, but once you sew it up, it shrinks it up a bit. So this is more like a 5-inch. So just remember that. Um, if you want a 5-inch pom pom, then you want to make sure that you cut a 6-inch square, and I'll show that. And this is half the size. It looks a little wild, but it's just because it's small. It's so tiny. This is for a newborn baby, so it's so little. So this will be half the size. So we will either cut a 6-inch for an adult or a 3-inch for a baby. Also, another thing that you will definitely need is some yarn. Yarn is best to use. So these two snowball pom-poms, for this one, I used crochet thread. Okay, now my opinion is this crochet thread was too tough to pull through the fabric of this faux fur. I accomplished it, but it wasn't all that easy. Now this one, I used yarn, but I used a yarn that's quite thin, as you see here. It's, I thought that it would be better because it has like some stretch to it. Um, so what I am going to use for this tutorial, this is just some worsted weight yarn. Some number 4 weight. This is actually a Premier worsted weight yarn. So I'm going to use this. I think that it's thick enough. I think it's tough enough, but not as tough as crochet thread. So I'm pretty sure this will work much better than these two. So, but what we will need, so if we're going to make an adult snowball pom-pom, we are probably going to need about, I'd say, um, maybe 30 inches. So let's do that. Let's do about 30 inches. And this will give us enough thread to sew it together and also to have enough as a tail to either sew in or tie in the inside of our beanies. Another thing that I will use is when you deal with sewing fabric, um, you learn that it's easiest to use chalk. Now, this is a little bit of a different type of chalk. This is, I picked this up at Dollar Tree, as a matter of fact. Chalk is easy to get off of fabric, like cotton fabric, like if you sew um, and make things with the sewing machine or anything like that. Regular chalk, like regular dry chalk, will work great too. But pen and pencil, I suppose it doesn't matter for this project. You can use a pen or a pencil, but chalk really is always the best way to go, and I will show you in just a second why. All right, so here's our panel of our faux fur. And as you see, I've already cut some to make the other snowballs. And I have the green chalk right here. This is going to help me to guide to make my perfect square. So We want the fur face down, and we want this facing us. And now we will use either a ruler or a measuring tape. And we need to figure out what size we want to do. So from here to here looks like I was trying to do 4 inches. And then over here, so here I was doing 6 inches, a 6-inch, and this was for the adult, for the size medium or size large. So say we want to make this. So we will take our ruler and we will take our chalk. And it can be dry chalk, it could be this type of chalk, but this is a nice bright color that I will definitely see no matter what the fabric looks like. And that is why I chose this lime green. So then what we will do is we want to make a straight line, of course, as straight as possible. And we want to just lightly draw it out. And it might be easier to use an actual ruler. In this case, it doesn't matter. You can use this or a ruler. So I have my marking. So now we want it to be 6 by 6 by 6 by 6. So I will take my tape measure. I'll put it right here. And I kind of, this has like a wide part here, so I'm going to go down a little bit. Instead of being right here, go about here. And then I'm just going to draw it across. And then I will go over here. Actually, I'm going to go up here. And I'm going to mark it. And then line it up like this. There we go. That's what we need. And see, this is why I chose this bright neon green. So if I use black fabric, white, brown, it doesn't matter. It'll be so easy for me to have a guide to cut. So now the next step is cutting our fabric. So, and just bear with me. Like I said, I have half a yard here, so this is kind of big. So I'm going to zoom out here so we can see what we're doing. And you don't want to take big scissors and just go right into it and start cutting like you would paper or cardboard. You do not want to do it that way. When you do it that way, you are cutting all this up. It'll be everywhere. It'll be a huge mess. You do not want to do that. So if you have some nice little fine sharp scissors, that'll work good. If this is all you have, that's fine too. That's totally fine. You just don't want to go in real big and wide and start slicing down on it. You want to just barely clip it across. Want to just barely clip. And you want to try to avoid cutting this fur is what I mean. So let me get a closer look for you here. Even if you got these big ones, and you just gotta have some patience. I know I'm flying through this pretty fast, but we've got to take our time on this. And see, the finer scissors would work better right here. Plus these scissors are newer, but they're sharp. See, very nice, clean cut. I like these. I also got these at Walmart for like $5. I think they're cute. I like. So yeah, so these scissors are much better. So you see, I'm not cutting this fur. I'm not going in big with it. I'm just trying to just clip this back layer here. This what is this called? Batting or something like that. So that's all I'm trying to do is just clip it. Now the lady at Hobby Lobby, I think her name Debbie. I think, oh, she's probably watching. She's going to be watching this. Okay. The lady at Hobby Lobby, the one that is in my area. So the lady at the fabric department, she showed me that if you just clip it and you grab it and you pull it apart, that it'll rip without ripping the fur. But you got to really use some force. Now, I'm not going to attempt that with this video. But if you ever just need to rip a big piece, that's what she did for me when I bought this, actually. She said that if you rip it, it'll rip straight and it won't disturb the fur at all. So I watched her do it. It worked. There was like no fur on the table. So what she did really worked. But in this case, I don't want to do that. I just want to do this nice and neat for this video. So I'm just clipping. And now I'm going to go over here on this side. And it's okay if you have this green on the inside. It's not going to show because it's all going to be scrunched up. So it'll be fun. And believe it or not, we're going to use quite a bit of stuffing for this this big one here. Now that little baby one, I only used a tiny little handful for it. But just remember, this is going to be smaller. So like we're cutting at 6 by 6, but it's really going to be like a 5. Once it's all, scrunched up and sewn up. There we go. And look at that. No, none. No fur. Huh? There's no fur. You see that? Like, hardly any. Look at that. There's only like a little bit. Just a little bit. So, we did good. We did a good job. So, now, after we get all this fur, just wipe your table really fast. It'll be good. So now we have our cute little uh, um square here. And I got my stuffing. I might need a little bit more than that. Okay, so now it is time to grab our thread, our yarn needle. We're going to need this little wire here. So I'm just going to thread it in that wire. And then thread it through here. And this here, it is a nice, sharp tip. Nice sharp tip. So what we're going to do is I'm just going to go over just a little bit. I'm going to start about right here. So it's not like right up on the edge. And it'll go right in just like a sewing needle. Goes in it, no problem. And that is why I bought these. Was specifically for this reason. And we are just going to do this all the way around. It's already scrunching down good, so I got it scrunched a little. And I'm just going to keep going. Now I'm going to work my way going down the other side. So I'm just going to scrunch this down. And then just continue to go all the way around. And I'm going to try not to pull that fur in with it. So I'm just scrunching as I go. And that's what we're going to continue to do. We're going to continue to just go all the way around and scrunch as we go, just like this. I'm going to go all the way around. And then before we get right here is when we're going to stuff it. And then we're going to close it up. So go ahead and finish going around, and I will meet you right back right here. So I just finished up and I cinched it as I went along. Just cinching it just like this. So I have now a little hole that I can use to stuff. So this might be just enough. A nice, a nice handful. I'm just going to break it in half. And then we are just going to stuff. I mean, you don't necessarily have to stuff this like really, really full. You could use just that much if you wanted. But I know the store-bought pom-poms are pretty stuffed. You can tell a difference with if you lightly stuff this versus, one you get at the store. The ones you get at the store are kind of hard, actually. So, but at least this is handmade, you make it yourself. So I still have some room. So I'm just going to grab some more. Let's see here. And I kind of want this to be pretty big. And I'm just going to pull that and get this hair out of the way right here. Grab and pull. And I want this to be pretty long so I can attach it to my beanie. So the short end, I'm just going to pull that. This worsted weight yarn is pretty darn strong. So it can definitely take it if you need to pull it tight again and again. So I'm just going to tie it as tight as I can. Now see, if I was using that other yarn, I wouldn't have been able to tie it so tight. But actually this is closing up very, very nicely. That is good. And it is closed up. It is closed up all the way. That is perfect. Absolutely perfect. Look at that. So, use worsted weight yarn. Worsted weight yarn works fantastic. Using this needle, that was so easy. Like that just went right through that fabric so easy. So it's definitely a plus with these doll needles, and definitely a plus with the worsted weight yarn. So now I have my beanie here. And I have my new pom-pom. Doesn't that look nice? I like it. I like it a lot. Okay. So, oh, and I wanted to show you, you can use beads. So we have both sides here. Now we want each side to go in on each side of the top of the beanie. So you can either rethread these and pull it through, or you can grab, let's say, a crochet hook I'm going to grab a crochet hook and I'm going to go in and I'm just going to go through the top there. And I'm going to grab that yarn. Well, let's try that one more time. It's a small hook. All right, got that side in. Now I'm going to go on the opposite side here. And I'm going to take the other side and pull that through. Just like that. So now I have it attached on both sides with both sides here. Now we could easily just tie this. That works fine. You can sew this on if you want. You can easily rethread this, thread these in, tie it up nice, and it'll always be on there. Or you can make it detachable. So we are going to have to rethread these with our yarn needle for me to show you how to use the button or the beads. So I'm going to need to use this again, this nice little handy wire here. I'm going to rethread that same dawn needle. Now we can either go through, we can use a button and you just push it right through just like that. Or you can use just a regular wooden bead or any type of bead you have. Let's see if I can pull that back out. Okay. So here's a bead. It's pretty big. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go in with one side. Okay. And I went in through this direction. I'm going to thread this side here. So I'm going to thread this side. So I'm going to go in through the opposite direction. And now you just tie it. So you're just going to pull it tight. Hold that there. And you're just going to tie a bow. And then you clip these down. Actually, that bow looks quite big. Just like that. Look at that. And there we go. And it is attached. It's on there. I can remove it anytime I want. Here, this side looks better. There we go. And that's all you got to do. Now the button, you would just do the same thing. you would put it straight through, you would put one strand through one side, the other strand through the other, and you would just tie it down and tie a bow. Easy. So yeah, if you don't have the snaps or you don't have a button and you got a bead, use a bead. That bead ain't gonna bother nobody. And if you think that's too big, you can use this little bitty one. Look, this little one here, this needle fits right through there too. So you can use a very small bead that you will not feel whatsoever. I promise it works, and you don't have to worry about going out and buying buttons or snaps or anything like that. You know, if you just got a bead, there you go. So I hope you all liked the video. I hope it was really, really helpful for you. And that way you can make lots and lots of these snowballs. And I will see you all very, very soon with more DIY tutorials. Thank you all for watching. See you all again soon. Bye-bye.